What's up? I'm Jared Harris, and this is episode 48 of Beats by Jer. Today I am joined by Russ Robson, founder of the annual independent festival Gussapolooza. As Robson will tell, Gussapolooza started in 2017 and has continued to grow as a must-see music festival of the summer, year after year, showcasing carefully curated lineups of independent artists of a wide range of genres, alongside comedy, artist workshops, local food vendors, art installations, camping, and a craft market, making for a truly exciting community that is formed around the fest. This year, you can catch Bleecker, Cassador, the Jailbirds, Cudbear, Harley Olivia, Pat James, Feral Minx, Jade Hilton, and Smalltown Strip Club, among so many other fantastic artists, at the Georgian Bay Steam Showgrounds in Cookstown, Ontario, from August 22nd to 24th. Single-day tickets, weekend passes, and camping options can all be purchased now at Gussapolooza.com. Here is my conversation with Russ Robson. Russ Robson, thank you very much for joining me today on Beats by Jer.
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Anytime, and congrats on yet another year of Gussapolooza.
Thanks. It is a miracle. So absolutely, it's thank you for that.
Well, you guys are doing incredible things for your audience, for the artistic community. Just it's an incredible experience.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to hear that, and we couldn't be happier to do it. It's definitely a passion project on this end.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Gussapolooza just in general strokes before looking at the roots of the festival. What is the festival vibe for those who haven't been to a Gussapolooza?
Oh, good question. The festival vibe, I would say, is it's I every time I'm there, I get the vibe of like a 1960s Woodstock feel. There's just so many, it's such good vibes and like community, and people are just smiling and happy, and it's really like it's such a great warm vibe the festival has, and we're just so lucky because we just draw some of the best people out to it, and it's a really, I'd say the vibe of the festival is truly one of my most favorite things about it, and I don't know how it happened. We just seem to draw such great people that love discovering music and love community, and just love having a good time. So it's really it's really those folks that have really brought that energy to it, and obviously the musicians that come out, and the music and everything. So definitely like a 1960s Woodstock vibe mixed with a little something else. I don't know if it's like um, kind of like maybe a little bit of new age as well. Definitely has that hippie vibe to it, but also, we got all kinds of, we got rockers running around, and it's like a mixture of great community that come together in peace and love and music.
For sure. Woodstock with way less mud though.
Way less money.
Yeah, the community is amazing. The audience, the community of people that are there in the audience, the people that are there performing, and all the other things you have going on is such an incredible thing that you guys have created around the festival. Um, when was the first Gussapolooza, and what iteration is the 2025 festival?
Well, so yeah, good question. The very first Gussapalooza happened in 2017. And it was basically just a celebration of a long tour. Myself, I was a traveling musician for many years, and I was actually living out in Los Angeles. And I had decided to move home to be with family in 2017, and decided to take a tour up the West Coast into Vancouver, and then played a music festival called Rock and River out there with a couple other bands from LA and from the West Coast. We had such a blast that we decided to tour all the way across Canada to the Newmarket area, where I was originally from. And we got back to the area, and I put an open call out on Facebook, I said, if any other local bands would like to join us, we're going to have this 1 day event. It's in the backyard, BYOB. And I left it alone. And then I turned the, Facebook back on the next day, and we had like 50 bands that wanted to come out and play. And I was like, oh, well, I guess we're going to have to, stretch this out to 3 days. So
Cool.
yeah, we ended up stretching it out to 3 days, and I think actually the very first one lasted for about 5 days. People, we had tents in the backyard. I think people just stayed for a week after. And I had a friend of mine who owned a food truck, and he had moved back from the West Coast as well, and he had Paco's Tacos, and he showed up in Paco's Tacos food truck, and had some friends working for some sound companies, and they brought over some gear, and we built a stage out of some old shelving units and a pickup truck, and that was the first Gussapolooza, man. That's how it went down, and it was a lot of fun. And I didn't really think too much of it. Like not that it wasn't a great time, but I just said it was kind of a one-off. I didn't really want to keep doing that. And then I had all these phone calls, from other bands and some of the bands that had played, and they wanted us to keep going. They wanted me to keep doing it, and I kind of just realized that the area needed it, and there wasn't enough going on for emerging musicians. And being a musician myself for so many years, I just thought I'd love to do something in the area to really kind of create some opportunities. And where Gussapolooza came from is, well, I went to high school. I went to a couple different high schools. I had a rowdy high school life. And one of the high schools I went to, we used to call people Gus if we didn't know you very well. So everybody would say, "Hey, who's Gus over there?" And when all these bands showed up on the weekend, all these fresh new faces, I was like, "Well, it's Gussapolooza." And
Cool.
that's where the name Gussapolooza comes from. A lot of people think I'm Gus, and I guess in a sort of way I am, but that's not where it came from.
I
So
mean, if you're a new face, you are a Gus. So we're
you're
all we're all a Gus to someone.
at Gussapalooza, everybody's a Gus. And so when I decided to keep it going, actually I met my wife Valerie at Gussapalooza the year after, the second year of Gussapalooza,
Oh,
called
no way.
Gussapalooza Tuesday. Yeah, I met Valerie. Uh,
Tusa.
yeah, we fell in love, and her and I sat down one time, and I said, "Listen, this area needs something." And with my past as a musician, I had left this area looking for opportunity in other places. I left to go and spread my wings, and it took me out to across Canada. I lived all across North America, and I played every little hole in the wall from Nova Scotia to Tofino, down to the entire West Coast, down to Mexico, and all around. And I met so many amazing people, and a lot of them were such amazing artists, whether they were comedians or musicians. Because a lot of us, if you move to a new area, the best thing you could go out and do in a new city is you go to the open mics, and you meet the community right there. Usually anybody running the open mic is ingrained in the community. They know everyone, and it's a great place to meet new people and find some gigs. So I would always tour off to I'd find some great open mics, and I'd meet all these people who had left little town, USA, little town Canada, looking for opportunity in other places. And when I was in LA, it really struck me because, like everywhere else in North America that I've been to, except LA, it was all musicians doing, usually, a lot of times open mics are for, cutting your teeth to get up there to your first time getting in front of somebody, and
Mhm.
when I was in LA, it was like mostly comedians would get up on stage trying their bits out for the first time. So it was interesting for me because I wasn't used to that. And it was
Yeah,
such
you
a
definitely don't see that here.
no, and it was so cool because I was so used to just musicians only. So I got to meet a lot of, comedians who are trying to, make it their way in LA. And they would tell me that their ultimate goal was to get to Just for Laughs Music Festival in Montreal.
Mm.
That's where they could get discovered. And that always kind of stuck with me because it was almost like musicians and comedians were passing each other on the highway. The comedians are going north and the musicians are going south. And I was like, it was such a trip to
Mm.
think about that. And then it made me trip out because when you think about that a festival could offer that much opportunity to make somebody jump in their car and drive across North America, in hopes that, they might meet somebody that can help them out or network with the right people, that always stuck with me as well. So in 2019, me and Valerie decided, you know what, we're gonna make this thing the most opportunistic festival that we can. We're very grassroots. We didn't have a lot of money, and we're like, what can we do to really make an impact in the area? And we came up with a new plan. We'd kind of outgrown the little backyard festival we used to have, and then we found the Georgian Bay Steam Show grounds. Actually, Valerie found it, and we went out there and we had this plan. We're going to move it there for 2020, and obviously that didn't happen. The pandemic
Mm.
rolled in, but we were able to survive. And in 2022, we had 75 bands come and play in Cookstown. We brought two mobile stages out, and we had bands from coast to coast come to a little town in Innisville. That if you sneeze, you can miss it. You'll drive right through it. And it was just the most beautiful thing because so many musicians were just, wanting to get out and play. And they never got to get on some stages, some bigger stages. And the other thing was we were really trying to get the radio stations involved and go, hey, look at the amount of talent. Look at all these people that live in this area. Like if we all care, we have a scene, and
Hmm.
that's kind of the love behind it. It's like if we all come together, we have a scene here and it's special, and it just takes a little bit of love. And it's been amazing because now we've got, radio stations like 89.1 Max who plays a lot of our artists. Every year they're calling us like, hey, who do you guys have now? We want to listen, and they'll spin them on the air. And we got Rock 95, which is big up in the Barrie area, Simcoe County, and they've got a long history of playing oldies and goodies, but now they're starting to realize, hey, they're starting to look at the next bands coming up and shining a light on them too, which is really cool. So in 2024, we got 2,000 submissions from across North America,
Wow.
that bands wanted to come out and drive across from Los Angeles to from Austin, Texas, from Newfoundland, from Whitehorse, all wanted to come out to a Cookstown farmers field. And I just remember talking to a lot of these folks, and I'm like, hey, do you guys know where this festival is? And how did you hear about it? It was so
That's crazy.
and it was amazing. They're like, yeah, we heard that, there was this festival that we could come and play our original music and that there was a good community there. And that's what it's all about. We just had this amazing community of people that have come out and supported these bands and just, that's really the foundation of it all is just this, is these people who care.
Hmm.
And it's amazing because as a musician myself, I've played in front of big crowds before, opening up for some bigger acts, and nobody showed up to see me there. But I've played a show in front of 10 people that wanted to be there, and it was such a better experience for me. The kind of people that come out and they want to listen to you, they want to hear your music. So it's just been amazing to watch it grow. Me and Valerie are just, it's a lot of work, but we just love it, and we love seeing. We feel like we've put a spark into the area, and we've just seen some of the bands that have hit our stages now that are going on to do great things, and they're touring. Like we had a band from Seattle last year come out, and we see them touring now with bands from Toronto. Toronto bands are going to Seattle. They've got couches to sleep on, and we feel like we're connecting these roads a little bit, and the community, just connecting that underground music community. So to watch it grow from a pickup truck and some shelving units to where it is today has been an absolute pleasure, and I just, I can't be more thankful and more grateful to put it on.
Yeah, now that's an incredible story. There's a lot in there that I had no idea about. but also there's just a lot in there that I think really solidifies the community aspect that makes Gussapolooza so special. You've touched on a lot of things from my notes, so I just kind of want to like look at a few of these things that you said. Um, but let's start with like that year that 2000 artists applied to perform at your festival. What year was that again?
That was 2024. Last.
So, and what was the, because I mean that's a huge number, but what was it like in 2023? How many people applied that year?
We probably had around 800, maybe.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how do you, when you're not dealing with 2000, because we can tackle that in a second, but how do you typically approach selecting a lineup? Like what goes into the method that you have to curating a lineup, to selecting artists, to looking at band applications, and like what stands out to you?
No, that's a great question. So I'm a lover of music, and I'm one of those guys who finds live music somewhere and I go out and I can't get enough of it. I love talent, I love energy, and I love people that get up and share their talent. And so it's like for me, it's a dream job really to get these submissions and listen to these bands because some of them become my new favorite bands. And I never would have known about them if I didn't have this festival, which is such a trip. And really we've tried to put a committee the last couple of years together. We're still working on it. Hopefully one day it's we have a table of people that listen to music and we all kind of we can chat about it because for the last while it's been mostly myself. I went through 2000 artists and I had some help from some other friends and stuff. We sat down and toured through them, but you have everything from somebody who's literally playing their first song on their cell phone, sending it in and going, "Hey, give me a shot on the stage," to bands that have, millions of streams on Spotify, and everything in between. So,
Hmm.
it's always amazing to sit there and listen to everyone and really kind of, it's what I look for when I'm looking at artists is I look for first of all, sound. Obviously, you got to have your sound and your workmanship together. You got to have your product together, and this is something that I talk about a lot when we're doing our convention and stuff because it's just such a big thing for artists to understand that they're a business. So I look at, okay, if I'm going to put this band on stage, I want, and I give them these opportunities. I want them to use these things that I'm putting my time and effort into, so they take it and they run with it. Because I don't want to put somebody up there who's not ready for the next steps and doesn't really know what to do with it just yet. I don't mind helping them along the way, but I really want them to have the tools and be serious about what they're doing. And so some of the things I look for are just like, okay, do they have a website? Are they active? Are they serious? Are they hungry? Are they looking to, take as much out of the festival as possible and really go for it?
Mm.
And what is their music like? Is it are they serious with it? Are they putting something out as much as they can? It's a really hard thing because I mean, especially today, everybody's got to have like two or three jobs just to get by. So it's really something that I look at and I go, okay, I see these guys hustling. Especially we had a band last year and like they just were hungry, and they wanted a spot on the stage and they were just, everything they could possibly do to get our attention. Hey, 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 hey. And it worked. We're like, okay, these guys want it. They're serious and their music's good. And we only have so many spots that we can open up. And we always have a lot of artists re-entering and we see them and we're like, okay, how do we fit them on this year? So it's
Mm.
a heartbreak because if I could do this thing the way I want to, it'd be 2 weeks long. But obviously, we just can't do that yet. But I mean, I'd love to. But like, we see these bands and we watch them growing, and we go, okay, what are they going to be like? Are they going to be together next year? Let's sit and watch, and all of a sudden,
Mm.
okay. uh, they're ready. Let's put them on, and then they come out. Like last year, we had this band called In Your Walls, and we put them on our barn stage, and they just, they were amazing. They came out, they did such a great job. We had so many amazing bands. I'm just naming these guys in particular because they were one of the bands that really kind of pushed and stuck out. And anyways, we had asked a couple record labels to come out and have a look at these bands and tell us what they think. And In Your Walls was one of the names that kept on popping up to us. And so they were able to get a lot of opportunity out of the little stage and the little thing we offered them. And we're having them back again this year because they were really grinding.
Cool.
Great job. So
I'm
yeah,
definitely going to check them out after this conversation.
absolutely, and that's exactly, it's amazing that we're able to do that. And that's really what when me and Val sat down, that was our goal. We're like, how can we create opportunities for bands in this area, and what can we do? And that was a prime example of a band that was able to come out, take advantage of what we had, meet the right people, and now they're on their way to something very interesting and exciting. And not only that, but they stuck around the weekend. They camped out, they met the other bands, and that's something we look for too. If you really want to get on stage, come on out and really join the community, because that's what it is. It's a community of people. And the way that I look at it is it's a foundation. You could have, like, I've got these bands that'll reach out and they say, hey, listen, I got a million views on Spotify. And the problem is they want a lot of money to come out and perform. And, the problem is they might have, all these views from around the world, but they couldn't bring 10 people out to the show on
Mm,
the night. And it goes back to, like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know what I mean? Whereas it's always been that local foundation that
mm,
that puts you up to the next level. And then people start paying attention, like, oh, this local area really cares about this artist. Maybe we should care about this artist. And that's the feeling. And that's what we want to do, is we want to build that community around the festival that's able to bolster a lot of these artists up. And I think we've done a great job of it, and so yeah, it's always like I said, if you want to act globally, think locally. And if you want to act locally, think globally. It's a two-way street. And so yeah, I think just really making our festival goers coming out, letting them know exactly what we're doing, and that's where the magic really is. That and all the dreamers that hit the stage.
for sure. You've outlined how you like what you look for in an artist. Now, I'm curious, that year that you had 2,000 submissions, how did you manage to go through that list yourself?
Um, it took
And
me
how long did that take?
took me a long time, yeah, and it was a lot, and a little too much. So, but I spent hours, and I got a young family too, so it was a lot of late midnights and in the early hours of the morning, trying to fit it in, and obviously trying to do it within a time frame where I could manage it.
For sure.
So yeah, it was just, plus I loved it, every new sound, every band. And like I said, I've got notebooks of these bands that I'm keeping an eye on. I'm like, okay, I'm watching, and and I tell people, hey, keep an eye on these guys. What are and it's been really cool because some of these bands now are just like, they're killing it, and I've got to watch them, just from their first video they sent, just kind of progress in just a few years, and I'm like, there you go. That's it's almost like you're watching a plant grow, and it's producing fruit. It's you know what I mean? It's wild.
Mm,
So um yeah, that's it's a lot of work. It takes, like I said, it's a lot of passion. And we do have a great team. We've got a great festival street team. It used to be me. I used to, run out on, I'd take a weekend and sleep in the car, or 3 or 4 days, and I would go around all the local areas hanging posters up, and so now we've got an amazing street team helping out with that. which is really cool because that was a lot of work. And
For sure.
it's really cool. A lot of people have heard of Gussapolooza, and they don't really know what to think about it. One of the things we did this year, and I'm really excited about, is we teamed up with a record label, Known Accomplice. And,
They've
we're
got some great bands on their roster.
They do. Yes, they do. And they're, you know what? Jeff Nedza is just a really great guy over there. Last year, that guy took all of our award winners and he gave them an hour-long consultation, told them, sat down with them, said, hey, this is what our label's looking for, and this is what we can do for you guys. And maybe you might want to critique this and critique that. And I think that's a great opportunity for bands that are serious or they're looking to get signed by a label if that's what they want, because you don't need that these days. But if that's what you want, it's great to know and be able to talk to somebody from the label and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. So we had, amazing people like Jeff, and this year we've got Bleecker coming out as our special guest and Cassador as well. So they're going to be doing our Saturday night special.
Both great bands.
Absolutely. And we got hometown hero Grant Boyer, who's actually from Alliston, which is just, we're basically where the festival is. We're on the border of Cookstown and Alliston. So he's a hometown hero there. And Grant's a great guy. He's going to come out Friday night, and he's our special guest then. And then we have our award winners from last year who have just, been knocking it out of the park. The Manic Boys and Girls Club, these guys are just unreal. Great people as well, just, down to earth, amazing performers. They've been getting these awards down in the States, and they're, people are really starting to pay attention to them now. And it's funny too, because I was just had a phone call with 89.1 Max FM, and they're like, thank you, because we would have never known about these guys. And we love them, we love playing them on the station, so it's been great to see what they're doing and excited for their show. So they're basically, we started doing an awards program for some of the artists because we're an independent show and because we're grassroots. We don't have a lot of corporate backing. It's a lot of mine and Valerie's hard work that goes into the festival. I wish we were billionaires, and if we were, we'd do a lot more, but we're working at that. But what we've been able to do is we're able to hand out these awards every year, and the bands that we hand these awards out to, we let all the radio stations know, and a lot of the curators and a lot of our partners that we work with, we say, hey, listen, these are the guys that came out, they hustled their asses off, they were amazing, they stuck around all weekend, they promoted the other bands, they're a huge part of our community, and they fucking rock. They got their sound down, they've got their stage performance down. And I think you guys should look at these bands. And so we were able to do that last year. And one of our award winners from 2024, the Fortunate Losers, amazing guys, and now, we're seeing them. They're going to play, Rock Fest down in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh, a massive. And that's exactly what those guys deserve. Like they're just, they're one of those bands that came out, and it's such a hard thing to do because we have so many amazing people that come out, but we can't give everybody an award. We'd love to, but so it's just one of these things where we do these we have a basically a table of people that look at each band and they go, we look at a bunch of different things from a bunch of different spectrums, and we go, okay. Basically, one of the things that pushes it over the edge is the fan vote during the festival. And last year, Cudbear, these guys
Another great band.
Can't say enough great things about those guys. There's a band there we've just watched over the last couple of years, and they're just every year they blow us away. Every year they come out and they support the other bands. They hang around. And last year they were running around. They had their posters on all the garbage cans. They had their posters on the walls. Everybody had a Cudbear sticker. They went out through the crowd and they're like, hey, vote for us, and they hustled, and and they got themselves an award and rightfully deserved, and I think that kind of effort, when you look at going to the next stage in your career, it doesn't matter if you're selling shoes or selling music, it's the same thing. If you've got a good product, you have to market it. and these guys were marketing it, and
Mm.
it was just, we were just like, bam. So very excited to have those guys back. Love them to death. And Harley Olivia, same. She's such an amazing artist. She came out, she did,
She's crushing it for
oh,
sure.
amazing, and she's doing some, she, her and Sig are just, these guys are just nonstop. I don't know what
Hmm.
they have for breakfast, but they can't be legal. You know what I mean? Because they're just everywhere and they're doing seminars and they're doing education and so they're such a big part of the community. They came out and they and Harley did vocal lessons at our seminars and she took part in all these things. So she's just brilliant, amazing artist. Can't say enough good things about her. And so on and so forth down the line. Like I said, we have just an amazing roster of artists, amazing people in this area. Honestly, the talent that just comes out of this area alone, the Toronto GTA area, Simcoe County, Southern Ontario is just mind blowing, and I'm very happy to be offering a stage to for artists to aspire to. And so, yeah,
Yeah, there's again, there's a lot there. Speaking of the awards, you have lots of awards for, like you said, artists that are hustling, best performance, bands of different genres, artists of different genres. There is one award that I saw that was in some of the resources that Valerie sent my way, and it was called the Spirit of Gussapolooza Award.
yes, that's
What
one of my favorite awards.
what is the Spirit of Gussapolooza? How does someone embody that? What does that mean to you?
The Spirit of Gus is one of those artists that is always sharing and promoting other artists and just really giving back to the community, really giving back to the festival. We've had artists in the past that just they come out and they volunteer. They're already playing, and like I said, we're very grassroots still. We don't have a lot of cash, so the artists aren't walking away with $1 million or $10,000 off our stages. They're coming out and they're grinding, and it's a lot. We understand for a band to come out from Toronto or Ottawa or all these places, to come hit our stages, and um, it probably ends up costing them money to do it, and we know that. So it's always something
Hmm.
that we're always trying to build on and work on. The only thing is, like I said, it's got to be one of those things where you have to have it to give it, and so some of these artists don't have it but they're giving it, and I feel that's kind of the same thing that we're doing. And so it's really that same spirit of just giving all they have, even though they don't have anything to give, and I think that that's really that makes the community and makes the not just the community, but makes the world a better place to live in, and they just care about the other artists. We've got, Jeff Gutteridge won last year, and Jeff is just, he's been around the Ontario music scene for years and years, and he just supports other artists. He's always posting their videos. He's always, um, taking the time to go to their shows and post about them, and he really cares about community. And he's a great guy, and he's played the festival for a few years. We've had Jeff back because we love him so much, and like I said, it's hard to give those awards away because we have so many people like that as well. So that's one of my favorite awards to give away because it just means so much.
Yeah, wow, that sounds awesome. Again, I just think that really speaks to like the community and how you fostered it because again, not only is it a community that's forming around your festival itself, but it's a community set of values, set of ideas that you are putting on stage at your festival that you are showcasing. And that's what makes these independent scenes thrive.
Absolutely, and I guess the idea for like with Gussapalooza, one of the things I always dreamt about is like, I always wished that I'd was in Seattle in the 90s,
Mm.
or New York, and or CBGB's. Actually, CBGB's was a really big thing for me. It was like I was so empowered by the way that, a little hole in the wall was able to just put a stage there and offered a time where nobody wanted original music. You allowed original music to come in there, and what came out of there was Blondie and the Talking Heads and the Ramones. And it was just like, and all it was this stage where somebody was like, hey, go do your thing, and that's all it needed,
Hmm.
just at the right time. And I think that's really what embodies a scene. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's it. Kind of brings me to my favorite side, not my favorite side, but definitely a side where my passion really lies in. Is I started it last year, and it's called the Creators Convention at Gussapolooza. And the idea with the convention is to, I understand that, we all don't play music. We all don't, it takes a whole village to have a scene, and it takes amazing creators and artistic people and, dreamers to run a magazine, to run, shooting music videos, to having podcasts like yourself. What you're doing is amazing, and it's this whole group of folks that come together all around the same time, and they connect, and all of a sudden, boof, you've got this scene with all these really interesting, amazing people at the helm, sharing and trading. And it's not, hey, how do I step on this guy's head? What it is, it's like, how do we work together to make the most beautiful thing,
Mm.
and I feel like we're at that time, even though the world's on fire. The place is burning, but it's
Yeah.
like, it's
More so in the last 2 days than
it's
was a
no,
week ago. Holy.
it's crazy. And I all I can think of is like, I hear that, as soon as I turn on my cell phone, it's like, oh, the world's burning. And then I go outside, the sun's shining, the birds are chirping. I'm like, well, I
Maybe
guess
not all of it.
it's not all burning, and how do we, we've only got so much time left on this planet. How do we have the best time that we possibly can have, no matter if it is burning, so, and I think that, you look down history, and some of the most amazing times in music have been some of the most turmoil times in the world. And I think people need it more than ever now. Coming together, great music, great art. They need a journey mentally. People, they need it. And I think, Gussapalooza, I'm happy to say you can find it there.
For sure. Um, let's talk about some of the artists that you've booked. You've talked about a lot of the award winners from last year. You mentioned In Your Walls as a band that really stood out to you. I'm curious, is there a lineup of yours that has been a favorite? Not necessarily a favorite, but has like really stood out to you? And have there been any artists that you've booked and you were obviously impressed by their submission, but upon seeing them, you were truly blown away?
Like this year,
And at
um,
any point, really, I'd say.
oh, absolutely. Anybody who's made it on the stage, is definitely fits that category, where it's like, um, just, if you're playing the main stage, I'm telling you everything you need to know. So I'm saying, hey, I believe in you. We believe in you. Here, go get it. So, like I said, one like the Manic Boys and Girls Club last year blew everybody away, and we gave them the biggest award we could give, which was Artist of the Year. And so they just, I've met a lot of artists in my life, and I've seen a lot of things. I'm like, I hope more people find these guys, and I hope they go, because I really truly see them doing great things, and I love their music, and I think they're edgy. They've got a great stage performance. They put on a great show. They're just wonderful people to work with. And as a festival, I'm on both sides. I'm an artist and I'm a festival promoter, right? So I'm putting shows on, and I'm telling you, what goes a huge way is when you get to work with great people. I don't care how good your music is. If you're an asshole, I don't want to work with you, right?
Hmm.
So you come in and you're cocky and you're not nice and you're rude to, there's a lot of great people putting on this event, and you want to just it's the same thing in life, you treat people like how you want to be treated, and I think that luckily I've never really had too many issues with artists at our festival. We seem to have these amazing people that come in and play, and they treat everybody great, and it really stands out. It's such I love doing great things for great people. So once again, I love them. Like I said, Harley Olivia, Cut Bear, C Magic 5. This girl, um, she blew us away. Last year, this girl came out, and she was one of the ones that really stood out. I watched her videos. I checked her out. I saw how hard she was working. I was like, this girl was just everywhere. And I did not expect the show she put on last year. We had her play late. I fit her on. She asked if she could play a little bit later, so I was able to fit her on. And I remember I just turned around, and she had choreography, dancing on stage. Her effort and her show that she put on was just probably one of the best that have ever hit the stage of Gussapolooza. And like I said, that's the amount of work and effort that went into the performance for what the festival actually can pay an artist to come out. And so we understood that performance costed her probably money to do. And I think the effort and everything she did, plus her hard work and effort, that she was definitely awarded because of what she did and how she promoted herself, and just she was great to work with as well. So other ones, obviously the Feral Minx, these
Hmm.
guys are just crushing it.
Absolutely, for sure.
Great, great to work with. Just great guys, great sound. Rock 95 is picking them up now. 89.1 is picking them up, and they're working with some really cool people. And we're just, happy to be part of their journey. Shoemaker Levy, those
Hmm.
one of our very first award winners ever. They are just, like I said, they're just the embodiment of what we're doing. They're huge about the scene. They're, fantastic artists, fantastic people, and like I'm just shocked that they're not massive. And that's one of the things too. It's like, how are these guys, at the top? And how come every Canadian doesn't know about these guys? So
Hmm.
um, yeah, just can't say enough good things about them. Very excited for. We got the Meringues coming in. There's a band that's been submitting for a few years. Wanted to get them on last year, couldn't fit them on. This year, I'm like, I'm getting these guys on. So very excited for them to come out. Small town strip club's another one. Um, Been watching these guys for the last couple of years, seeing what they're doing. They've submitted, and excited to have them on. They seem like a great group of guys. And obviously the Jailbirds, they were on in 2023. We love them, and they're coming back. They're just crushing it. It's always
And
nice too. We try to have some of our bands from the past come in as well. Some of the people that have been part of the festival, and they know what to expect, and we obviously have a great relationship.
yeah,
So
that's great. Yeah, big fan of the Jailbirds. Love those guys.
yeah,
Um, so we've talked a lot about the festival, how you got here. It seems like the first Gussapalooza was almost an accident. And you just rolled with it, and now it's become this thing that's taken on a life of its own, and it's one of those independent festivals that's a just become integral to the Toronto, Ontario musical community and obviously beyond. Let's talk about Gussapalooza 25. You've mentioned some of the artists that are playing, but the festival will take place from August 22nd to August 24th at the Georgian Bay Steam Show grounds in Cookstown, Ontario. Tell the good people a little bit about what they can expect this year, some of the artists playing, Anything that we haven't really like mentioned, so that way we can like dig into what to expect from this year's festival.
Absolutely. Well, you said it best there. We've moved the festival back into the summer, which is, we're excited about. We had a lot of feedback, people asking us if we could do that. So we have, and we're loving the idea. We had it in September before. So this year it's August 22nd. That's its new home, the 24th. Like the grounds, you've been there, you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Georgian-based team show grounds is it's just Cookstown is like I said, it's this little tiny town, and the Georgian-based team show grounds is such a cool event ground space. We've got an RV park, we've got on-site showers, we've got a little creek at the back, we've got just there's family camping, we've got there's like these buildings on the festival grounds we turn the one the building, it's about 80 feet by 30 feet. We turn it into a lounge. We've got a bar in there. We usually have, comedy shows. Obviously, comedy is a thing in my heart. I always want to give back to my comedian friends. So we always have a comedy show in there. We have bands playing in there sometimes. This year, we're going to do a singer-songwriter circle that I'm excited about. We've got a few really good artists playing in there for the singer-songwriters round. Pat James, Katie Mall, Francesca Panetta, who is one of our award winners. She's from Thornton, Ontario, which is literally the next town over to Cookstown, and she's just one of these gems from the area. Super talented, great. We got Will Ross, he's been out on the West Coast for many years. He just kind of came back into the Ontario scene. But I've seen Will play on my journeys, through the West Coast and stuff. And when he submitted, I was like, absolutely, I was excited to see him. We got Rachel Hickey, Rob Elder, the song in the song round on Sunday, Jade Hilton, and William James Cohen, who I'm excited to see. I really liked his submissions and his music. And after the Saturday singer songwriters round, we actually have a round table, which is really cool. We've got some amazing people coming out to just talk about the industry, and we're going to turn it into a round table. Plus, it's going to be a networking mixer, and this is more for the artist side. So if you're listening to this and you're in the scene, or you want to come out, you're in a band and you want to come network with some interesting people, and kind of, it's more of our scene building side, which is connected to the convention. So we're going to have Jeff Nedza from Known Accomplice is going to be hosting it. And, he's been, artist manager, content creator over 20 years in the music business. With him, we also have Rob Wells, multi-platinum award-winning Juno nominated producer and singer-songwriter. And also Brian Moncars. So he's, produced mixed Alice
A ton
Cooper.
of
Yeah,
great records.
yeah, yes, absolutely. Our Lady Peace, The Truth, Texas King, list goes on and on. So, that right there, super excited to hear what those guys have to say. And so it's going to be a great thing if you're, you want to come in and network and take that. That's going to be happening on Saturday around 2 p.m. on Saturday. And then it's also going to be part of the convention. So like I said, we want to see podcasters there. We want to see, last year we had a tech company come out from South Korea and California. We had vinyl record companies come out and take part. We had podcasters. Basically, if you've got any skin in the game, we want you to come out and promote your services. And we have a lot of artists walking around. So there's two sides of the festival. The one side is me, and that is like my passion about building the scene and giving back. And I really want to open, like, every artist that submits to Gussapolooza, we give them free passes to come out, camp out, and take advantage of that side of the festival, because that's where the magic comes from to feed into the other side of the festival. So and then the other side of the festival is obviously for the festival goers, the festival experience, where, you're camping, beer, games, camping, all this stuff on the other side. So it's this kind of marriage between the two, and it's there's so much going on. We got a kid zone. I have kids. We need to get the next generation of musicians active, and we're very excited. We're going to be doing a Battle of the Bands with Rock 95 this year, and it's a homegrown Battle of the Bands, and we're going to kick off the festival this year with the Battle of the Bands, and we're going to choose a winner, and the winner will get radio play on Rock 95. They're going to get to open up for big bands, maybe do the Rock 95 birthday bash. I'm not sure just yet of some of the details, but
Mm.
very
All of that sounds really cool. And like always, it sounds like Gussapolooza will continue to be a highlight of the summer.
absolutely. So yeah, we got some contests going on right now. Check out the page. And like I said, tickets aren't, we try so hard to keep the tickets low so people can come out. We know people are struggling, but um, it's one of those things where, you definitely get a bang for your buck at Gussapolooza. And you can find tickets on the website, gussapolooza.com. And check out all the health and wellness stuff we're doing this year. We've got, kid zones. We've got a lot of moving parts. There's something for everybody, something for every Gus at Gussapolooza.
I love that. All of that sounds fantastic. Yeah, that sounds great. And to everyone listening, you absolutely cannot go wrong with a day or a weekend at Gussapolooza. Now, Russ, before you leave, the question that I like to give to all my guests at the end of our conversations, what would your three desert island records be?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Desert Island. Um, well, hmm, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. That's one of the toughest questions. I think that's the toughest question I've been asked. Um, if I had to, spin something down to the bottom, it's so tricky.
It doesn't always have to be like your favorite records. It could be something that you find yourself going back to. It could be your
I'm,
favorite right now.
I'm thinking. I just thought of myself on a desert island right now. I'm thinking Jimmy Buffett could go down for a long time. Would keep me positive. Something like that out on an island, I could do it. Definitely a little Led Zeppelin and oh man. I don't know. Maybe it'd have to be a Big Shiny Tunes 3 or something with a little bit of mixed up for me because I don't know if I could just take it down to 3.
I think you're the only person that's so far come up with a compilation loophole to
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
that.
you got to think on
Circumventing
your feet.
the hard final three. Curious, which Zeppelin record would you go for?
Oh, that's a tough one too.
It is, yeah, I think I would also pick a Zeppelin record, but which
Which
one?
one would you go for?
I don't know. I think I usually lean one or four.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I would say that's yeah. God, you know what? I'd probably kick it 1.
Yeah, there's just so much, like the audacity of that
Yeah.
record to be
Uh-huh.
that good.
Yeah. That was the magic, right? You know, everything else was just insanity after that, but that was, I think that could keep me going for a long time. And I mean, hope to God I'd have a guitar.
Hmm. Well, Russ, thank you very much for joining me today on Beats by Jer, and here's to another fantastic year of Gussapolooza.
Thanks so much for having me, Jaron. Thank you so much for doing this podcast and being such a big part of the community. Um, we definitely appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning into my conversation with Russ Robson. Don't miss out on 2025's Gussapolooza. You can get single day tickets, weekend passes, and camping options, all available now at gussapolooza.com. And don't forget to follow me on Spotify, YouTube, and the socials at Beats by Jer. Tune in another 2 weeks for the final episode of Season 2 of Beats by Jer, as I sit down with Luke Bentham, singer and guitarist of the Dirty Nil, to discuss their upcoming album, The Lash. I'm Jared Harris, and this is Beats by Jer.